guys, welcome back to my channel. So we're here for another episode of the Fabulous Flowers series. So what I thought we could do today is kind of work with vintage kind of ephemera and add in flowers to your vintage ephemera pieces. So I've kind of zoomed in a bit on the camera today, so I'm hoping that that's going to be, you know, a good view, so we'll kind of see. So what I've got here is a couple of kind of book page pockets that I've just literally, you know, stitched together ready. I've got a couple of kind of wage envelopes that I thought we could use, and then I'll just move that to one side. What I've also got is, you know, some of the kind of packaging material stuff that they use kind of when you get parcels through the post. So I'm just going to cut this down, but I thought we could have a go at kind of making a couple of, you know, pockets and pieces from that. So what I thought we'd do first of all is literally kind of make a corner pocket from it. So all I'm literally going to do is I folded it down a crease, kind of make, you know, a corner pocket, and then literally I'm going to kind of tear it down to approximately the sort of size that we might like it. So, and I mean, hopefully kind of by using materials like this, you know, we've all got stuff like this that we can kind of access, so hopefully it's something that we'll all be able to, you know, partake in a little bit. So just kind of torn that down. I might need to tear this corner here, and then all I'm going to do is literally glue it together and then kind of smooth it out. So let me get rid of the other piece to the side. So I've got my glue here. Now I hope my glue is going to play the game today. Been being a little bit temperamental lately. So I'm just going to literally pop it down along the edges, and then we just want to kind of pop some obviously in the middle, so it's not I don't know how to describe it, but I would kind of describe it as like baggy in the middle. So just press it down. I'm just going to take my card and literally kind of, you know, press it out and smooth it out like that. Okay. So that's the kind of foundation of your pocket, and obviously although this is kind of flimsy, once the glue has dried it's going to be less flimsy, because obviously the glue will help to kind of stiffen it up a bit. And then all we want to do, because it's obviously very plain, so I thought we could kind of decorate it up a little bit. So I'm going to just take one of my kind of favourites, my little swirly stamps, and I'm just going to kind of, let me just bring something in that I can kind of lean on. And again, I mean, this isn't to protect my surface per se, it's just so that I don't then have it picking up kind of all over everything else that I do. So I'm just literally kind of making a little bit of just pattern around the kind of edge there, and I might just do a little bit here in the corners as well, like that, just so it's, you know, not so plain, because I mean obviously it was just, I'm just checking that I'm in frame, because obviously where this is a kind of slightly different setup for me, I just want to kind of make sure that it's that it is actually kind of positioned where it needs to be. So let me just weigh it down with a couple more things. There we go. So hopefully that's kind of a bit better. Okay, so we've just kind of decorated around literally the edges with the what do you call it, the what's the word, the swirly stamp. And then it's up to you, really, entirely up to you how you kind of want to do it after that. You could just leave it plain, or you could obviously kind of decorate it further with some other little bits and pieces. So I might just take this stamp here, has got, if I show you, a kind of combination of sheet music and script. So I might just take a little bit of that and just literally, just for a bit of kind of extra detailing, just stamp there. So, and again, you know, it doesn't have to be kind of too neat and tidy. We're not kind of looking for it to be, you know, anything kind of perfect. And then what I've done, I've bought in some vintage ephemera. So this is from a vintage encyclopedia, and it's got here this picture of Westminster Abbey. Now, for some reason, I'm always really drawn to architecture. I love kind of old buildings and, you know, beautiful kind of architecture. And I just think it works really, really nicely in, you know, journals and things like that. So I obviously chose that page purely for this picture here of Westminster Abbey. And I'm just going to tear it out around like that. Now, obviously that's quite big here for the page. So what we could do is kind of tear it down further, kind of there, just so as we've got it kind of, you know, slightly smaller really. So first thing, I'm just going to ink it up a little bit, because although it is vintage, it's not, you know, it's not kind of got any coloration to it or anything. So I'm just going to kind of make it look more vintage, like that. And then at this point, I might as well just ink up the, you know, the piece itself that we're going to be kind of adhering it to. So just ink around the edges, like that. And then we can kind of pop that on there like that. And then obviously, you know, completely kind of personal preference how we kind of then go on to decorate it. But I'm kind of wondering about doing a bit of a fusion thing with the kind of old and the new. So, you know, with that in mind, I'm kind of thinking mix it up by adding some vibrant colours. So I'm hoping that I'm in frame. Obviously I'm sat down now, so I can't really see. But I've got these gorgeous bright coloured flowers here. So I'm kind of thinking maybe if we try using kind of something like that to kind of have a striking, you know, kind of contrast, I guess. So I'm slightly drawn to this gorgeous bright pink flower, which I actually have got another one, which I thought I'd put under my board. Let me see if it's just slipped onto the floor before I started. No, can't see it there either. Oh, all these things kind of go missing as soon as you come to do a video. There it is. So this was a bit like that large blue flower that I had, but obviously it's a pink version. So we might decide to have this one here and save this one for one of the book pages because it's just slightly smaller. So again, and I think I've kind of talked about this in a previous video, I often like to just fold them over when they're massive like that because, you know, they don't then dominate the entire piece. Let me just kind of have a play. Yeah, so I think, you know, for me, I think that's kind of quite nice. So I'm going to kind of work with it like that, I think, and then just want to kind of add a couple of other things so it's not so plain. So I've got, again, a couple of kind of stamped pieces here. So I'll just try a couple of these and see how these look. You know, and often it is very much trial and error and just kind of experimenting around really and seeing what you think looks good. So could have that kind of there. trying to decide which way to glue this flower, because as you can see, this has been kind of stuffed into that jar for a long time, so it's not really kind of behaving itself very well now. The flowers are you know, very curved up, which is slightly annoying, so I'm just going to pop my punch in there to kind of try and hold it flat. I don't think it's going to kind of do an awful lot, because obviously it is, you know, it has been kind of laid like that for a long time, but it might just help a little bit. So if we have it like that, I'm just rummaging through my little lace trim bag that's to my side. So we could have a kind of bit of lace trim as well on there. So I'll just cut that down like that. And then this lace trim has got this kind of seam type edge, which I'm not keen on. So I'm just going to cut around that. Just like that. Just so it's kind of more shaped rather than that ugly kind of just flat edge. And just cut around that. And if I were to just pull this back here like that. So, you know, I mean, if you can kind of imagine that placed on a page, you know, I think that looks really pretty, and you know, just something a little bit different. So I think what I'll do is get gluing some bits and bobs down. Oops. So I'm just going to glue this piece here. I just quite like that kind of coming out of the top of the Westminster Abbey kind of image. And then we'll just stick the Westminster Abbey image down as well. Like that. And then we'll just pop the bit of lace kind of along the bottom like that, but I'm not going to have it hanging off over the edge. I'm just going to kind of have it like that. Oops. So I hope everyone's having a good day. Hope you're doing some crafting and you know, having a bit of fun. So we could have that kind of like that. I mean, it's entirely your choice, or you could kind of have it coming in this way round from the edge. I quite liked it this way round because obviously then it overhangs slightly, which I thought was kind of quite nice. So, you know, but again, entirely kind of personal preference, how you wanted kind of things like this to look. So I'm just going to use my hot glue and just pop it down there like that with the hot glue. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of stick down the top layer to the bottom layer like that. Now, because this has been obviously in my jar for a long time, I'm just going to kind of pop those petals down a little bit because they are a little bit kind of mad in that, you know, they don't want to kind of lay flat at all. So I'm just going to kind of help them along with a bit of glue there. Like that. Oops. You know, again, entirely my fault because obviously I have left the flowers kind of screwed up in the jar, but might just need to help it further with a bit of hot glue, just because obviously that's more instant and you know, a better result for speed. So I'll just going to, and just like the most minimal of dots of hot glue there. Okay, So I quite like that. So we've got those there, and then if I just bring in some more flowers. So obviously these are, again, different style of flowers. So these are the little paper flowers, but I thought it would be kind of nice to pick up the pink somewhere else on the embellishment piece, because obviously, you know, then it ties it in kind of on both, or, you know, on more than one, in more than one place. So I'll just ink this up, because I wondered about having this here as a kind of flower centre, because I think that looks rather nice. And obviously, sorry, I'm just standing up now just to check that I am actually in frame and filming. So I mean, I think that looks rather nice. And obviously the other aspect is this is obviously a journaling spot. So I'm just going to ink around like that. And I'm just pressing it down with my palm so it, you know, it's not too lumpy with the hot glue, because hot glue can be inclined to give it, you know, be a bit lumpy. So like that. And then this little pink one here, I think looks really pretty. Oh, it's just that the threads of the hot glue are again kind of sticking all over me. I just seem to constantly have glue and ink and various things stuck all over me. So it's not the best look, I realise. Just going to check that we don't want any other kind of flowers on here, because you know, obviously this is a flower series, so it might be nice to kind of have even more flowers on this little piece. Sometimes these little paper flowers, the tiny ones especially, they get stuck together, if you can see that. I mean, there actually were 3 layered up there, so, you know, it's always worth kind of picking them apart and just kind of checking whether there are extra flowers kind of stashed somewhere. So, I mean, we could have it kind of like that or something like that. I mean, I think that looks quite pretty. So I might just pop this one down there. And then I can't decide. I think probably up here, actually. Or we could try it somewhere completely different. Oh, excuse me, it's my doorbell now. Right, so we've got that there, and then we'll just pop the tiny one. I'm just still deciding where to pop that. I got interrupted by the door, I'm afraid, so I kind of obviously, you know, came back and then was looking at it, trying not to waste people's time so much deliberating. I mean, I actually quite like it, something more like that. So I might pop it like that, I think. So just going to take my hot glue here. Whoops. Just going to clean it off in the scraps of paper that I cut off that are next to me in the bin, because where it's been switched on for a little while, it sometimes goes a bit yellowy. So I'll just clean that off a bit. Obviously minding my fingers. And then I'm just going to literally pop some down there to just glue this pearly trim on. Like that. Get rid of those threads of glue again. And then just still decide where to have that. Maybe up there. Maybe it would be kind of nice. Or maybe there. So, I mean, I'm sure it doesn't really matter too much, and must not overthink this. Right. So, like that. And then obviously we could kind of finish it off further by obviously, I've just dug out some buttons quickly whilst the camera is off after the doorbell. So, you know, you could finish it off further by popping in a button or something in the centre of the flower. Not sure that I've got one that's quite right. Maybe that one. Looks quite nice. Actually, I almost prefer it without the button. Again, this where could do with being live, so I could ask you guys your opinion. So, I mean, I think that looks really quite pretty. This is obviously kind of firming up where the glue's drying. Obviously, if you didn't feel that it was quite thick enough, you know, for your liking, then you could always stick a third layer, you know, again, onto there. So, you know, you would just obviously glue it down and then tear it around. So you could really kind of make it as thin, you know, thin or as thick as you felt you needed, to make sure it's kind of fully, you know, robust enough as you kind of would like it. So I'm happy with that. I think that looks really pretty and quite nice to kind of mix up the styles of the kind of vintage, so the actual kind of vintage piece there, with the really quite bright, vibrant pinks of the gorgeous flowers there. So that's kind of one. So if we just now do another one. So I brought these images in. So along with the kind of architecture, I love all these kind of old style kind of paintings, I suppose they would be. So on the back I've got here that I could kind of just tear this chap's kind of face out. Or we can obviously use one from the back of here, which are smaller in the first place. So I think I'm going to go for this one. So I'm just going to cut it first, and then I'll tear around it in a moment. So I'll just cut it out. And we've still got this face if we want to use this afterwards. So can just literally tear around that. Like so. And then I'm just going to ink that up. Like that. You know, obviously this is from a vintage book, but again, it didn't look overly vintage. And then I'm just deciding whether to use the book page pocket, which is, you know, Patricia Veramonte's style book page pocket, or whether to go for one of the kind of wage envelopes to kind of make a pocket from there. Let's have a look. I mean, I'm sure it probably doesn't really matter too much, but let's go for the envelope here. So I quite like using these by gluing the flap down. Oops. Not having much luck with my glues today, so there we go. Right. So, and then I just tuck the flap in, and then obviously spread it out. And then you've got obviously a slightly more robust opening there of the envelope. That's the only reason that I kind of quite like to do that. So I thought we'd use this like this, and then I've got some sheet music somewhere. Oh, now I can't find that. As soon as you come to do videos, things just have this horrible habit of kind of disappearing, don't they? Which is so frustrating. So I shall have to now kind of dig out some more. So I should turn this off so as not to bore you. Right, so I've got some sheet music now. So again, this is obviously, you know, proper vintage stuff. so to speak. So just kind of decide which way round that we want it, you know, because some is more busy than others. So I think kind of down here. So again, what I'm going to do is just kind of tear it approximately kind of to size, and then we'll obviously play around and get it just right in a moment. So you just make it a more manageable kind of piece. So just go down the edge, kind of square it off a bit like that. Actually, I think I like this side better. So tear it off down there, and then just approximately kind of across here like that. Okay. So to me that looks, you know, quite nice. And then again, I think what I'm going to do is just literally before we kind of pop that on there, I'm just going to decorate up the envelope that obviously is going to be sat behind, because otherwise, you know, you've just got this kind of big blank envelope looking outline, which, you know, doesn't probably look so attractive. Now, I don't normally go all the way round. I would normally just do the corners, but I fancied, you know, doing something a bit different and kind of mixing it up. So that looks, I think, you know, quite nice. So I'm just going to literally pop this on again with the glue. Oh, come on, come on, come on. I've really only just got in from work, and literally I just came running straight up and dug out the supplies and got the video rolling. So I've probably not really kind of calmed down yet from kind of walking home and rushing in. So I do apologise if I'm a little bit scatty and all over the place, even more than normal, but I think it is a result of kind of just getting straight in and kind of cracking on. But I was really keen to kind of make the most of my time and kind of quickly do this. So you know, again, I'm trying to kind of do a few videos so that I've got some to upload, because obviously kind of the latter part of the week I don't get a chance to film anything because I'm just at work. So I'm trying to get some done so that then on days I'm working I can potentially still upload if I have time to upload them, you know, I could still upload them. So that's those. Now again, I'm just having a little look through my little bag of stuff kind of beside me, and I'm thinking I'd like to kind of back the image onto maybe some lace trim or something like that. So just kind of have a bit of a look, see what I've got to hand. Otherwise I'm going to be stopping the video every 5 minutes. So I'm just going to take that like that and just literally cut around it, you know, and again, it doesn't have to be kind of perfect, just, you know, just roughly kind of cut around like that. Now I quite like that with the bright kind of ivory colour, if you can kind of see that. You know, I have normally distressed this when I've been using it lately, but I actually quite like it on here with the kind of stark contrast between the kind of very distressed background. I think that looks quite nice. So I think I will just go for that. And then again, I might just kind of cut out a little stamped image, that other one that we didn't use earlier. So I'm just going to cut that out quickly and pop that in, just so we've got a bit more interest on there. Like that. And again, I'm just going to ink that up slightly more. Like that. Just have that kind of poking out to the side. So I think that looks quite nice. I'm just going to glue that down. Like that. And then this one here, just kind of glue it down a little bit. And then we're obviously going to glue the vintage kind of image over the top. So we just want to kind of make sure it's a little bit attached there before gluing on our picture here. I'm just going to get my card there and just smooth that out a bit. I must say, I mean, I hope that these videos are coming out all right for you guys, colour-wise and things. Because for me, this is so much better, obviously, being able to sit at my own desk than at my son's. Because obviously I have got all my things around me. Not that you'd know that, because I seem to spend half my time kind of obviously looking for stuff. But it is, you know, it is much more helpful for me. Right, so we've got that on there. Now, I mean, I think that looks really lovely as is anyway, just because this image is so gorgeous. But I mean, obviously we're, you know, doing our fabulous flowers and kind of mixing it up, doing the fusion between the kind of vintage and the, you know, more modern looking colours and textures and things like that. So again, we could just have kind of something like that down there, which, you know, I think just finishes that off really nicely. Could have kind of one over here as well. So, you know, and again, these are just using these Prima Got Flowers, you know, range. So we'll just literally pop that down. I'm just going to use the hot glue so it's nice and quick. Oops, dropped my glue gun on the floor now. And then we'll just pop a bit of glue on the back of there. Like that. And then we'll just pop that one over there. Like that. I mean, I just think that looks lovely. You know, it's really nice to kind of have the contrast between the kind of vintage grungy image and then that gorgeous vibrant pink. Just looks so striking and so pretty. And then what we could do is kind of have a little bit of pearl trim on there as well. I don't know whether it's really necessary, it's probably not, but you know, it just looks quite pretty. So I'm just going to make that slightly smaller. Let's see whether we want one in the middle. Oops, in the middle of that flower. I hope I'm in frame. Let me just check, because where I have zoomed in, I'm not so confident that I'm in frame all the time. So I'm just going to glue this on here. So I'm just going to lift that kind of petal up, move that kind of to one side, just then run a little tiny bit of glue like that along there. Whoops. It's gone completely skew-iff now. Now, you know, you can probably see there again, I'm playing around deciding whether to have a kind of centre in that flower. Often I think these flowers just look gorgeous with no centre. You know, obviously we did the last one without centres. This, I think, maybe does look quite pretty with a centre. So I'm just going to pop that in there like that. Like that. And again, just kind of press that in, just to make sure it's kind of stuck in there. gorgeous. Looks really pretty to me, I think. You know, just looks really, really, really lovely. So that's kind of, you know, another kind of mixing it up with the brights and the vintage there. So I'll just pop that to one side. And so the last one, we've probably got time for one more. Just see what other images that I have got here. So we'll probably just use another one of these, to be honest. So this time I will just tear that around. And again, I mean, I don't necessarily want the whole image. So if I were to use this on the book page, I mean, we could even have it inside the book page, kind of poking out. That's quite nice. So, excuse me. So I'm just playing with the threads there. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut down here because we've got the kind of edge, the printed edge, you know, of the picture. And I'll just cut it slightly down. And then I'm just going to ink it up. I mean, again, it is vintage, but it's not that discoloured. It's pretty good, you know, in terms of colour damage. But I guess we prefer them slightly more kind of aged than that. So got that, and I'm just going to pop that in there. So I'm just going to glue that down. Just going to keep it long because it's quite nice. It obviously is giving the book page a bit of extra strength apart from anything else. So, you know, that's quite nice. And obviously it gives us room to play with because we can kind of push it down or pull it out kind of as we wish. So again, you know, I've got my card here handy because I'm sat at my desk, which is awesome. So we can obviously just press that down. I'm just going to ink the book page up a little bit because again, although it is actually vintage book page, it's not overly discoloured, so I'll just make it look a little bit older and more grungy looking. And again, you know, just so it's kind of completely in keeping with our other bits that we've been doing, I'll just ink around the corners a little bit, so like that, maybe kind of a bit up here like that. And then for a flower on here, now I have got this flower which I've kind of partially made. Obviously I haven't finished it because I haven't got a centre or anything, but we could have something like that, which again, you know, I just think looks really you know, really stunning, kind of just actually kind of as it is. So we could have something like that. Now I'm just having a quick look to see if I've got any kind of pre-stamped things that I can just pop on beside it to kind of you know, just embellish it further. Just having a look. Normally got a whole bunch of kind of stamped things that I could use, and now I can't really see anything kind of laying around. Got my little tin beside me. Have I got anything there? No. Oh, come on. Must have something stamped. Oh, I have got this little piece here. I love these. So, I mean, it's, again, entirely kind of, you know, personal preference, whether you want it kind of all on one side or, you know, kind of spread between, really. Again, I'm going to just pop a bit of lace on here as well. So, probably use this lace again. So, I'm just going to trim it kind of slightly. And then, as you can see, it's a kind of, you know, double piece of lace. So I'm just going to cut it down approximately in the middle. So it's a kind of half piece, if that makes sense. And again, I'm just going to trim that edge off so that I've got a nice, neat, kind of curved edge. You know, and again, I mean, if you've got some lace with this, you know, it's just personal preference and it might not really worry you. I have used it sometimes with this edge on, you know, because sometimes that looks okay. Just on this particular little set that we're making, I quite like it kind of plainer. So we can have that like that. Just ink this little piece up here. We could just have that kind of there, like that. So just going to literally pop that lace trim down here, like that. And then just going to pop this little stamped piece on. I'm going to hot glue this down because it's actually been stamped onto card, so it's kind of you know, stiffish, so I think it would benefit from being held down a little bit more securely. Whoa, come back. And then we've obviously got this gorgeous large flower that we can just pop on there like that. And then we just want to kind of finish this off in the middle. So again, you know, kind of just a case of playing around and seeing, you know, what you might like in the middle of there. Might like to actually pop a little bit of lace in the middle. In fact, I've got a little tiny bit here already kind of cut to size. So I'll just trim that down slightly further. See, there is a reason why we don't throw anything away, isn't it? Because then we just have these little odds and sods, little scraps just laying around that just do actually come in useful, would you believe? So we could kind of have it like that, and then probably go for just a flat back pearl in this one. So we could have it like that. Let me just see whether it looks better like that or with the lace. Could mix it up. We could put a little paper flower maybe in there. Let's just try. So I mean, again, you know, no right or wrong. We're just literally, until you get something that you think just looks really pleasing, you know, to you. So I mean, I think that's quite nice. I know it's, you know, maybe a bit strange, but for me that looks pleasing to the eye. So I'm just going to literally pop the lace in the middle, and then I'm just going to ink this flower up slightly, and we'll just glue that in like that, and then we'll just finish it off with the flat back pearl. Just like that. And then there is actually one more thing that's just kind of calling me at the moment, so I'm just going to quickly grab something from my little bag here to the side. Where I've just got some kind of resin flower trim, so I'll just bring that back in. For some reason this was just calling to me, and I just thought we'd finish this off perfectly. So I guess, you know, this is another form of flowers. So these are little, they're not actually resin, I mean they're actually plastic, but they look really pretty. I got them from the Wish app, and they're just literally these little kind of plastic flowers with these little pretty gems in the middle, and for some reason just it sprung into my mind, and I just thought how pretty that would look on this pocket. So I'm just going to literally pop a little bit of hot glue there and just, whoops, pop them down like that. So that's that one. So let me check the time. Obviously, because I've stopped the video a couple of times, I'm not 100% sure where we're actually up to now. But I'm pretty sure that we must be kind of, you know, approximately 45 minutes. So this was kind of, you know, just some ideas of kind of fusion styles in mixing up your vintage pieces with the bright colours and the, you know, the gorgeous flowers there. And obviously we made this gorgeous corner tuck spot, this gorgeous little wage envelope, and then this beautiful book page pocket there, you know, kind of finished off with the fabric flower. So I mean, I just think they look really, really, really pretty. And I'm just going to pull in a journal, which I haven't started yet, but it's just a kind of plain one, but just to kind of show you how they would look in a journal. So I'll just kind of pull it in, just go to a page. So this one here would be, oops, something coming in frame, would be your corner tuck spot. Looks gorgeous there. And you'd obviously, you know, tuck things in behind it. This one, obviously this gorgeous little coin or wage envelope, and you've just obviously got the top there as a little pocket. And what you could do is either tuck it or stick it as a tuck spot as well. So you could kind of pop things behind and in the top. Or you could obviously stick it on kind of maybe 3 sides and have it as a kind of corner pocket and a top loading pocket. So that's that one. And then the final one, we've just got this book page pocket, which obviously, you know, you've probably all seen Patricia Viramonte's pockets. And again, that would just look gorgeous with obviously a tag here. And you could have it as a tuck spot or a pocket kind of at the top or the side, or, you know, however you wanted. So absolutely, you know, gorgeous little little pieces, I think. And I just love the kind of the old and the new kind of fusion there. So I hope that you guys liked it, and I hope that you kind of enjoyed the episode and that you got something from it. And I will see you next time for hopefully some more fun ideas with flowers. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks, Em. Bye.